So I had a dream, and this is what I seen in that dream. And I don't necessarily know. I'm going to just lay it out there because a lot of people really put me in a position to. I'm just going to put it out there because in the beginning, they picked on me. They put me in a place to make me angry, to make me have to be in this position. And they blackmailed me. They did stuff to me to make me to make me push me out of my life. And it's not fair. It's not fair. And I just have to. It's messed up because nobody wants me to talk about what happened to me and to have the information that I have and to know what I know. It's over. It is what it is. But I had this dream last night. I'm going to use the actual people. I'm just going to use the people that was in the dream because it may be significant. And at some point in time, if anything happened, this information will be here. Even though I know that the state of Ohio is covering up what's actually happening to me. So, to Candace Van Lowe and her children, Robert Van Lowe, Avery Van Lowe, and Eva Van Lowe. So, they showed me, I had a dream. I had a dream that somebody went back in time and tried to fix something, but it's just not working. It's off. And in this dream, the way it kind of started off is how my life went. How everything was just kind of off. Looking crazy. People, disowning you and treating you any kind of way. And you just trying to figure out why. So, I seen in this dream, my sister she was in Ohio to get married. That's what I seen. And I seen that, I guess they kept trying to show that everything that was done was like hit or miss. Everything that, all the flashbacks of the different times that happened was, it was, it was literally like hit or miss kind of places where flashbacks came back to me of things that happened in my younger years of life. The one thing that came to me was when I was at work. I worked at Walgreens, and it showed me how I had just went off the register. I had just went off the register to go to lunch or something like that, and I worked overnights. And I just came off the register. I walked away, and the girl over the PA system had call 911 or call police, something like that. We just been robbed, and she had been robbed at gunpoint. And I couldn't understand why. There was another situation. there were tons of situations where it reminded me how I keep seeing all these people with these different issues, run-ins with the cops and stuff. How when we were younger, my two sisters went to take out the trash, and they went to take out the trash, and the police came, and they said their hands was up in the air, and the police had their guns drawn out at them, and they were young kids. Like that, I just kept seeing little flashes of kept seeing little flashes of things that was happening around me. And but I had seen my sister, and at some time or something was off. Like they were trying to keep seeing the word assassinate. Like they kept trying to assassinate my character. They kept trying to assassinate me. But it was like they missed for some reason. And they kept saying that keep seeing her, I keep hearing I missed. But there was something someone went back in time and tried to fix. And there's two people that were switched. Keep hearing switched at birth, something about being switched. And they had been keeping an eye on our family since I was born. I definitely continued to hear that. And no matter where, they kept saying that no matter what I did or where I went, that God surrounded me. So I seen that my sister was somewhere and she got married. And I seen where somehow she, just like they saying that she is now, she got it now. They're saying that she has possession of over something about somebody bought me with a price. They bought me with a price. That they paid good money for me. And in the beginning of this whole situation, like, they tried to use a lot of scare tactics to make me afraid. And I'm not afraid anymore. So now it's just like they don't necessarily know what to do. And they keep telling me somebody's gonna come back, and I'm just in a place where I don't care and I'm not worried. Because I have literally done everything that I possibly can. And I don't necessarily understand it. I don't understand why I just had to always continuously be picked and charged and stuff taken away from me because of it. Why I had to live the life that I did and how my life is affecting other people. And they tried to keep it quiet. So in this thing, I seen that that and they keep saying Christ-like marriage, something about marriage, and the Antichrist go to jail. So I had to go to jail, and they saying that the state of Ohio, because this is the state that they said that my sister sold her soul to, this is where I had to be. So she assumed my identity and I had to assume hers. And so now, like, I picture, going through life and, and because she did that, like it was a quota that had to be met. And because she got married spiritually in my name, I had to have the children. And it's messed up because it's like they charged me as one person. And because I had to be a single parent, I was spiritually married to someone else, but I was physically having children with other people to keep up with a quota that had to be met. And I can remember back, like me personally, I can remember when I was younger, I just had a strong sense for become a doctor, become a mother, become, like, that stuff was instilled on my brain like it was clockwork. So it was like whatever it was that they meant for, like they took away my opportunity. They took away my opportunity to have a life and fulfill the dreams that I wanted for myself. And I seen that because of that, my father, because he was, I had already had another dream of how they asserted themselves inside our family bloodline to, they reasserted themselves to transfer the wealth. I kept seeing and hearing transfer of wealth. And I didn't even realize what that meant. That wasn't actual money. That was people in the bloodline being transferred. And I seen that they kept me protected, but I seen on the other hand that they kept me, that they picked on me and they did horrible things to me. And how they asserted that stuff into our bloodline too. toughen me up to get me ready for this time. I seen how I was the more quiet person as to when Tia, she was more outspoken. And how we somehow it just kind of rotated and transferred. I seen how the cycle or like the circle around certain times of year when people start migrating, or how the animals used to migrate, that's the cycle that people now follow. The birds, when things get to migrating, and I seen how everything is out of order. That's the reason why all of these events and things that are happening, everything is hit or miss because the world took on my cycle. And one thing that happened is everybody know I don't necessarily care to keep it quiet because I'm tired and I hurt for what happened to me. And that everybody could just be so quiet and just trying to hush me so that I won't speak or that I won't feel a certain way. I feel like the child that everybody is saying, don't tell mom, don't tell mom, because they hit me and I'm hurting and I'm hollering and they like, don't tell mom, don't tell mom. That's how I feel. Because essentially me and my children, because we were sold into something, me and my children are going to pay. I see how they had this all planned out. I seen how they had it all planned out. I seen how they knew that I would work at Whirlpool and how they set up an entire system to take my life away from me to give it to someone else. I sat and I watched the expressions on their face as they did what they did. I was just so. I spent my entire life noticing, even though they tried to blind me. I remember when I was young and my mother she had to take me to work with her. And the doctor told my mother that the vision was bad and that there would be blindness. After a certain age, there would be blindness, and that that there was blindness and that I wouldn't be able to see for like after when I got or when this person got to a certain age. That they would not be able to see, that they would be blind. And I hear they spoke that on you. And time later, my child, the children they made me have. I remember when I was in those moments where I was having these children. I remember right before having a strong urge or need to be loved. I would have a strong urge to be loved, kind of like a labor pain. You had to push and push and push. I felt, I felt almost just kind of like my life was taken over in those times. Like I didn't know and I didn't understand what was happening, but I felt like I was being coursed in that. I was being coursed in that direction. I see me going into that job and I seen these people literally I seen these people as if they were possessed too. I remember after I was in those moments of having children, or like when I was pregnant, I was thinking and feeling to myself, I can't believe that I'm pregnant. I seen how they did everything that they possibly could to try to remove me from my position. And I seen that something was happening. So I found it funny after I had took a break after so many years of just being by myself and reaffirming myself in my life. I was there for the 7 years. Just, I was celibate and just minding my business. And I seen how people spiritually noticed some kind of way. And I became a target. I seen how people's behavior changed after I left, or after when I was there, and after I left, I seen how people would act differently outside of work, like on their things, but when they were at work, they would act extremely childish. And I seen that when I reported it, they got very aggressive. And I seen that, I don't know, it just felt like something happened where I felt like people kept inching me toward this person, Greg. Like they would make comments about Greg, and then I would hear comments about some, seeing people work on the line and them talking about something about I got an old chick or old lady out in Huron. And I was trying to figure out what was that all about. Like that at at that moment when that happened, I was trying to figure out what that meant. And then there was a girl named Beatrice. She just kept trying to push me towards him, like would make comments about him or his tattoos on his arm. Like, I know you like tattoos. He got tattoos, and like, look at that tattoo, and just making eyes at me and making me look at him. And I was just like distracted. I started noticing how much he looked like my son's father, Timothy. Timothy Deacon. How I walked away from that situation and it was horrible for me. And I cared about him, but it was a bad situation. And so I had to just deal with it. I seen Whirlpool kind of like a slaughterhouse. I seen in the dream. I seen people walking in and never coming out, and I see washing machines leaving out. Like I see people coming in and I see washers going out. And that was in those last final hours. I was in those last final hours and of working there and dealing with the people, the whole situation about the accidents, the wishing the accidents on me, and I couldn't understand it. I seen how they tried to make it look like later on. Well, I'll talk about that later, but I seen how, and this is how I became very drawn to this person, and I became sealed to him as I began to have those thoughts and those feelings in my head that I fought. I seen myself being glued, like becoming half myself and half that other person, and I was just sinking and falling deep. And every time, like, I just keep seeing visions of stuff. Visions, and it's just like I'm trying to figure out if it actually happened, if it's just a dream. I don't know. I seen at one point in time that everything that comes across our phones and stuff is like code for the people who bought your soul, that they use you as like a radio. I seen that when I stepped into the state of Ohio, like before I left there. I even seen that the whole situation with Timothy Deacon's other, the other baby mother. The talks, the conversations, everything that they was doing, all of that stuff had purpose. It was purpose to trap me in a situation or to bring certain things into my path. It was there. And what I seen was that cycle playing out. And I kept talking to these people just like I was saying, like, you're doing this. And I don't know if people really knew or understood that they were doing it, but they were doing it. They were doing it. They were doing things to me. And nobody, they just allowed it to happen. They allowed it to happen. And all this stuff comes up to this time is that when I was back when, when I first got into the tarot stuff, and they kept saying, you're not going to be able to get what you want until you work with us. Until you work with us, you're not going to be able to get what you want. And I don't know, I just don't know. It was, maybe I'll do another video about that, but they were telling me I was not going to be, because I had wrote down a list. And in that list, I asked God for money. I asked God for money to be able to, help take care of my family, get us off the ground, get us started. I asked for the proof, physical proof to come through that the people on the job was doing the things that they were doing to me. I asked for the proof. Because every time I would go and tell Human Resources, they would say, you don't have any proof that this stuff was going on. At Whirlpool in Clyde, Ohio, they kept telling me, you don't have no proof. You don't have no proof. They would send Amy Wiesner from Human Resources, and she would just sit there and ask questions and then be like, well, we'll get back to you. But every time they got back to me, it was well, you don't have any proof. And I would be like, do y'all got cameras? And they would be like, no, we don't have no cameras. We don't have nothing. They didn't have anything to show the operation that they have going on, the things that when you really come to find out what it is, y'all gonna be shocked. With businesses and stuff like that, you're gonna be shocked. You're gonna be shocked. I just heard you're gonna be shocked to find out why you hate businesses and you still shop at them. You're gonna be shocked. But they showed me how I keep talking to y'all about two people, the one Greg and the one girl, Devin Failer. How she had me signing a paper, and I became, after I seen them doing all the little different stuff that she was doing, I decided to, I was very cautious around these people, the things that was going on. The one person that I trusted, and they know that I trusted, was Greg. And I don't know if it was because I had some type of feeling, or he looked like somebody that I loved or had feelings for. It was just, it was there. It was there. I seen how in the end, when I had expressed my concern to him, and I was in distress, and that they called me over and I signed that paper. It was an empty paper, like an empty training paper with the wheel on it or something like that. An empty training wheel. And it was an empty training wheel paper that I signed. And they showed me how that was a spiritual contract between me, the person that they think I am, and the person of whoever that they sold this contract to. And at the moment where I stood up on that part of that place, and those people laughed at me and they mocked me. And then I just keep seeing those images of Donald Trump, the stuff happening to him, and how he's suffering and the way that his face looks. It hurts me. But I seen how that they were trying to save someone. Like they were trying to sweep the trash away from the door. Like they was trying to say, no, I don't know nothing about that. I don't know her. I don't know her. I don't know anything about her. I don't know nothing. That this all traced back to my situation. That I was hidden for a purpose. Because I was supposed to be saved. I was supposed to be saved, but I wasn't. Something went wrong. Somebody got married in the wrong time or something happened and it affected me. Something happened. Something happened. Something happened and somebody tried to cover something up between Ohio and Michigan. Something happened. Secretly became a part of a cycle to transfer wealth. And they destroyed my life because of some cycle they tried to cover up. And I was just shown somebody had a baby or somebody got pregnant and the child wasn't theirs, or somebody got pregnant before they got married and tried to cover it up with marriage. And now something is happening and they're trying to cover it up. Like they put people in they put me and they put my sister in a certain path so that they can cover it up. That's what I seen. I see something that they're trying to protect. They're preserving me like as a battery, but they're using other people as a physical body to get the wealth, to get some type of title. And they kept saying that they spent, they said that they spent $2,000 or something like that to be mean to me. I don't see and I don't understand why, because in the end, I just went through my life. Like I was shown also when I would move to, out to when I was there, it showed me how me becoming glued to that person, that everything that I was doing was a representation of something that had already happened, and how people are on a wheel. People are on the wheel, moving on the wheel, and they don't even realize that they were on the wheel. Like, until these last couple of years happened, my sister that opened up a gate. They also showed me my sister in a relationship or had a child with a white man, and that opened up a gate on the bloodline, and it showed that it was lost. It showed me it was lost. Some type of game, some type of bet was lost. And they've done something. And I could see somebody look like parents going away and leaving somebody in charge to take care of us. And the people that they left in charge to take care seems like an automated system that regulates people, that can assert themselves into people or possess people, like we are the robots that the people actually spoke of, but we don't know that we're robots. I seen that after I left the building, everything that was in my cycle, that I became like I was supposed to have been like a virus to my family that they wanted to keep in the black community. But the black community didn't want me. neither did the white community want me. I seen where me and my children were left in the middle, just like right now. And I seen how they were so busy. They put me in a position. They told me when this stuff first started happening that you had to stay down. And this reminded me a lot like my youngest son, Timothy Deacon's father cycle. How when the baby mama, her Brittany Anderson or Brittany Zobel, she told me, yeah, he's not working. He won't go to work and he won't pay child support. And we used to be trying to keep up on each other. Sometimes, like when I got low, I wasn't necessarily calling the bull him, or, some days it just felt like that. Like, somebody call you with the drama and they telling you stuff that's there to hurt you and your child, or to hurt your feelings because it's messing over your child. It makes you angry. But I just remember all these little different conversations and stuff that was being had. I remember I remember them telling me in the beginning that I wouldn't be able to work. I had to go down, and I was like, I can't afford to go down. But I was tired of taking this thing, and it was literally, my body was so tired. I literally felt like my body was breaking down, and I could barely stand. So I had to, try to preserve my rest, and I hadn't necessarily made my mind up if I was going back to work or not. But when I did make up my mind, it was that I couldn't go back, because, of course, they told me that every time I went back to work, it was only going to become worse, and that I needed to work with someone, basically like a bill collector. They was telling me I needed to work with someone to get the to get this matter resolved. And it sucks because I lost a lot. I lost a lot in this process. I lost a lot. And I think that they tried to rob me of something, because in the beginning with that list, I had, somebody, the proof for the job that the people was messing with me. I asked for money to the tune of, I was just like, just basically some seed money. I didn't know that life was a business and that they had to be doing a whole bunch of other different stuff in order to make this stuff happen. I believed in this magical sky that dropped money down. Like I believed in that, but I didn't know it was science behind the stuff that goes on that gets the money. I didn't know all of that at that time because I still had faith, but I seen I seen I had that list, somebody, someone that loved me, that appreciated me, good health, things of that nature. I act, just peace, understanding, and another thing I meditated for was that I put 3 people on there. And one of the other desires that I had was just to be able to follow to be able to follow through and be the things that I always wanted to be that I mentally could not do. And I was being happy and waiting and believing, looking at everybody else living and having their dreams. And the only thing I just keep seeing is it's just hang in there. It's coming for you. Hang in there. And I'm hanging in there. And I'm looking at everybody. I'm looking at everybody getting everything that I asked God for. Everybody was getting blessed with everything that I asked God for. While I was struggling and struggling and losing and losing and losing. And I see my sister. I see her winning, and you can't be mad. But it's like, when am I going to start winning? Because I worked hard too. I loved and I worked hard too. Like, so I seen that I signed the contract, and when I was up there training, I was training for a job, a spiritual job, to become somebody else spiritually, where I had to basically become a servant to someone. And how they caused me to have this issue. They caused me to have these issues so that I would run to God and have to be and submit my life so that things can start happening. Because they showed me how I was under someone else where I was not getting help, or I wasn't getting something. And they kept telling me I didn't have a Jesus at that time. But now they said that that I was under an old Jesus, and now this is a new Jesus. And they kept saying that if I did not comply, the new Jesus would fail too. That it wasn't just me, it was the new Jesus too. So I was trying to figure out what all that meant. And which really brings me to a place that causes me to question my faith, because I can see things so clear. And it breaks my heart So I seen in some instances why God was blessing certain people the things that I was asking for because my sister had got married in my name. I didn't have an identity, that I had to take hers. And for some reason, it was sold to Whirlpool. That's what I seen. Is that they sold my soul to Whirlpool. They sold my cycle to Whirlpool. And now they are having all the same problems and issues I done had throughout my entire life. And I was having these dreams and stuff when these little like flashes, these little visions and dreams. I was having these dreams and visions when these people was messing with me of things that was happening to these people. Specifically, I had a dream with the one girl, with the one girl, Devin Failer. I seen the car, her driving in a car or something like that, and it blew up. I seen that. I seen the one guy, Curtis, when he was messing with me and kept, I just seen him being stopped and beat up by the police. I seen it. Had other dreams about Greg that I won't go over that stuff, but the lady Yolanda, I just kept seeing, I see her, and her nose just kept growing and growing and growing. Her nose was just growing and growing and growing. And that was after the situations that I kept running into it with her for some reason. She was acting like Devin, how Devin would get in my face and she would just be talking and talking and talking like she was nervous. She would be talking like she was very nervous. And so that's how Yolanda kind of acted sometimes, like Devin. Like she was talking and babbling like she was nervous. But on the other end, she would play the two-face kind of thing. Kind of like, I don't know. I just kind of get this feeling that the other baby moms was like the same way. The same stuff that just kept happening over and over and over again. I remember being in a position where I kept talking to Carrie and she looked at me with her eye like she didn't know or understand what I was saying. And it reminded me kind of like a pigeon, kind of like a bird when you talking and they just be looking and their eyes just be blinking and they be, looking and pecking or whatever. That's how she used to act. Like she didn't, like, I don't know. And she would know that these people was doing stuff and she just wouldn't, she would take the reports and she wouldn't do nothing about it. And she even hid the one report I had asked for, the report, and she didn't want to come up with that one, the one that had all the names in it. She didn't want to come up with that report. And I kept saying, I sent another one, and they kept saying, no, we don't know. And I was like, I know that it's there because I took a picture of it, and then that's when it showed up. And that's the day, like, Human Resources had, because I put the pressure on them. And that's when Human Resources found that statement, and they gave it to Greg, and Greg came and brought it to me. And I was like, okay. Now, in that process of signing that contract and meditating and stuff, and, I was looking at this stuff on my phone, and it would show me, like, is this, you would have to, I'm praying, so I'm not thinking anything different. And they're saying you're going to have to go through a lot of stuff. And I'm thinking, in order to get it, I'm thinking I already go through a lot of stuff. I go through a lot of stuff. And I just, most times I don't get it. I go through a lot of stuff, and it is what it is, but I go through a lot of stuff. So I wasn't thinking nothing of it, and I'm looking. And then I had the situation, with the people at the job where it got extreme. And then I had the situation on December 26th where I felt like my chest was hurting and my son was having a seizure. And, the police, or the 911, they hung up the phone on my son. Everything was just suspicious as hell. And I didn't trust nobody. I didn't trust nothing or nobody. Because it looked like a lot of people around me wasn't up to no good. And they kept saying, stop talking, don't talk, don't talk. But when you have people treating you like you ain't shit your entire life, and you don't understand what's going on, and these people is up to no good trying to fuck over you, and you can't figure it out. But what these people really can't understand is that they really fucked over the wrong person. And it became my struggle and my fight with me feeling the things that I feel when they did whatever it is that they did. It left me exposed to a lot of feelings that were not my own. Because you don't go from feeling love and having love for a long time to just feeling absolute hate and bitterness and hurt and frustration and anger and all this other stuff. Vendettas and all that other stuff. You feeling all of that. I feel all of that. And I see now, like, to the end of that dream, I just seen that they realized that they had the wrong person and that they thought they had a gold mine, but they really, really fucked up. And they touched something they was not supposed to touch. They hurt somebody they was not supposed to hurt. And that the person that they took advantage of was somebody very, very special and important. And I seen them realizing that. They knew this stuff was going to happen because they kept telling me not to say nothing bad about people, and that came back to me after everything was done. But it was like everything was off key because before the stuff even started happening, I seen them rushing before I signed that paper. I seen them rushing to say, we got to get her to sign the paper before she go. And they kept thinking I was leaving. And I told the people, the one girl, I caught her. I caught her in my real life. I caught her going behind me asking people about my life. I caught the faces that she was making to other people. Devin Thaler. I caught her doing it. I caught her doing it. I even had a dream about that. I had a dream about that. I had a dream about that. I had a dream that I came in and disrupted a cycle that a lot of people had wanted this one guy. And you know, a lot of things was being noticed. And I seen that she was trying to defer or deter people from that person. I don't know if they was related or what, but I just seen jealousy or rage in her if anybody else came around or anybody else wasn't interested. I seen that jealousy. And I would sit and I would watch her watch him. Some days I would notice her because of the way that she would treat me, the faces that she would make. I noticed that stuff. I noticed it. So when I seen her, I seen the movie Black Swan. And when me and her had the conversation about the about the witchcraft and all this other stuff that she do. And that's funny because I knew a lot of people around me that was doing it. And so I did a lot of research into it. You know, because I was just like at a place where, you know, you get the calling on God for so long and it ain't nothing happening and you get angry. You do. You get angry. But she was telling me I would sit and I would watch her want to go and be around him a lot. I would see and hear her. And maybe this is the same way it was with my youngest son's ex with the kids. Because they say that every cycle is a cycle. These people don't realize that they are on a wheel, but they're on a wheel that they can't see. So it's like they have to continue to run on that wheel until it's completely to that cycle is run out. But I know what she would do with me. I know that she would get on the phone with me and tell me all this bad stuff about my baby daddy. And it was like the stuff that didn't have anything to do with me or my child, I didn't necessarily care about. But the things that would come and be said to me when it was concerning, yeah, he's coming to get my kids. They go over there and they sit over there with him and he buys them gifts and he does all these things. His parents does all these things and for my kids. And he said that he didn't want, he would sleep around with different people. And she would tell me about the one chick in the goth chick. It was a goth chick that he had brought in her house. And something about whips and chains. Something about some pictures being taken in their house. Told me a lot of stuff. And that's weird too, because that's so weird because when my son had a situation with somebody, they was doing the same thing, telling him about some personal information that supposedly happened, that the police is supposed to be checking into. But in the end, it's crazy. Because they kept mistaking me as my sister. Spiritually, they kept mistaking me as my sister. And then, in like I was asleep one night, and one thing I heard in my ears, like that brought me to wake up. One time I was really going through in the beginning of the situation and I kept hearing die, 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 die. Like I wasn't even asleep. I wasn't asleep. I was dozing off, but I wasn't even asleep and I heard it in my ears. I heard it and I was like terrified. But now this stuff really don't scare me. It really don't scare me. And I was able to what was that? Hold on. So in my ears just recently I heard it was the Mexican. Build the wall. Build the wall. It was the Mexican. It was the Mexican. And I'm thinking, what that got to do with me? I don't know nothing about no Mexican. Like, I'm not Mexican. And I'm not, but for some reason I think, I just don't know. I don't know. You think I'm my sister and her husband? Or you think me and my children are my sister and her husband? Or do they think that I'm somebody here in Ohio? That I would get caught up in this? In the end, I've had plenty of dreams before where everything, I'd asked for eternal protection to me and my children, specifically by name, our physical bodies forever, for this lifetime, and if anybody try to go back in other lifetimes, that we would have our wealth, because they stole our wealth from us. They stole it. They took it. They took it. They stole it and they took it. And they covered that up. And I think that they were trying to show me that when this cycle was purchased, that they did not, whoever it was that signed the contract or bought the land, someone bought the land, someone paid for land, or someone had a spiritual contract of buying land. And I got caught up in it. Me and my children got caught up in it. Another thing that they kept telling me is you need to hurry up and get out. You need to hurry up and get out. And I'm like, they told me I need to get married, but I was like, you already know that the reason why, people already know the reason why I haven't got married. The reason why I had to have these children is because of the things that happened. The people that were in that triangle. I see 3 groups of people. I see my sister and her family. I see me and my children. And I seen someone else in their family. And I seen how something was out of order in their cycle. So they tried to fix it by saying, okay, this person over here have a baby, or this person here get married, or they got pregnant and then got married, and then in another cycle, the Gemini twins, one had a baby and one got married, or one got married and then the other one had a baby, because it was just to cover up something. And every time, like, I was trying to go back to work, they wouldn't allow me to work. They wouldn't allow me to do anything. And they told me that I had to fulfill that cycle, the cycle of my past child's father, and that they were trying to save me. But I really don't think that I don't know who's who. I don't know. They kept telling me that they put that the destiny was back in the right hands, was what they said when they sold it, because they said that it was stolen and they were using me as a byway to hurt other people. And it's angry because all the visions and the stuff that these people were abusing me to get back at somebody else, and those people was didn't even realize it. In the end, I see how all of this stuff go down. It's been so, in the end, I've seen faithfully how all of this stuff goes down. And it's not good. I seen the decline that it kept talking about, the decline that has been initiated. I see it. I see it. The decline that was initiated was because a cycle that they tried to keep away from the other side was initiated when I was supposed to, and they kept trying to keep me from getting married because they didn't want the people at the top to fall off. They kept trying to keep me from, they sacrificed me from marriage. in order to keep the people from the top from falling off. And in the process, what they did was is they shift spirits from, or birthrights from different people to certain areas. And they told me if I wanted to move forward, I had to give away my children. They tried to entice me in so many ways to, and I told the police about this too, and they did not listen. I told the police, they didn't listen. They didn't do anything about it at all. They tried to call these people out to come and talk to me, but they see and understand that this was a situation my son was going through it, that somebody would tell you that a child is not acting right. A mother would tell you that she feared for her life and the police didn't do nothing about it. They said there was nothing they could do about it. They told me all of this stuff had to happen so that they can put the punishment back in the right hands. And then these fits of rage and anger that I could not control myself, where I felt possessed myself, that I was angry and I couldn't control myself. And they kept saying, don't say those things, but it was just, even if I didn't say them, if they came to my mind and I thought about them, if I had a dream about it, it still came forward. They said that there was no way that I was going to be able to stop what they were supposed to get. They told me to be quiet because they did not want, it's kind of like you don't want the enemy to hear you coming, but they see and hear you come. They said there was no way. They also said that someone had escaped as well. They said a twin had escaped. And then I kept seeing the name Devin somewhere. I strongly believe she strongly somewhere in the mix with this whole somewhere in the mix with this whole told me that it's just, in the end, I see how all this turned out. I seen how they continued to fault me and put the blame to me so that I would continue to give up everything that I had. I seen that they're trying to move forward with a plan to do it without me, or to, which they told me back when this stuff started happening. They told me that they were going to go around me, that they would go around me, and they were going to go around me and get it that way, how they did back in 2011. And back in 2011, my father passed away. They said that they were going to go around me and take what they took from me like they did back in 2011. And that really hurt me. Because that hurt me because that was my father. I didn't even really come to realize how important his life was, or how hard of a struggle it would be to live without his parents and through someone else loving him. That was deliberate because they think something was stole from them. But they keep replaying the tape. Like they keep replaying a tape that can't be changed. The result continues to be the same in the end. And they're just taking old spirits and putting them into new people, and they're tainting them. That's kind of messed up. All right.